Okay, so lessons learned from Millionaire Next Door. Well, there are a few things that come to mind. 80% of millionaires are self-made, according to the book. They haven't gotten any money from anyone since in forever. The other 20% are people who inherit money from the dads or granddads or mothers or grandmas and stuff, uncles, aunts. They are also very, very frugal. They like to invest a lot, and they like to live below their means. Well, the thing about Millionaire Next Door is it's an American book. It doesn't reflect UK, but I mean, the UK isn't really known for being a wealthy nation either. It doesn't really reflect my lifestyle, but I can still learn lessons from it like that. In order to have a high net worth relative to their income, which makes them wealthy, that's the definition of wealth. Being wealthy is having a really high net worth compared to how much you make. You need to save your paychecks at least a fraction. The more the better, really. Most who are not made to buy new cars from their business partners or suppliers that they trade business for a supplier of electronics, and this car company needs lights. They need parts for that so they can fix their stuff, buy like a mechanic and stuff. They contact you. You now have a little rapport going on. You have connections because you're a business person, and because of that, they feel obligated to get the new car usually from them, to like keep a good relationship and stuff like that. When, in fact, those who do not have those connections are not burdened by that. They usually have a higher net worth, and they usually save a lot more. These people were millionaires as well. Like all of these people I'm talking about are millionaires. They usually get a used car, usually about 3 to 5 years old. Some car that will retain its value over a couple of years, of a reliable make and brand. In the book Millionaire Next Door focuses on the 1980s and 1990s, I'm pretty sure. So it was mostly a lot of Mercedes. Anyway, it's like outdated info anyway. Okay, so most of them live below their means, which means they live middle-class lives. Middle-class lives, but they can't afford it, but they could live high-class lives, and then they wouldn't save any money, and they wouldn't be any wealthier, and they wouldn't be millionaires. That's where the name of Millionaire Next Door comes from, in terms of the book. They focus on financing, having active thoughts about what they should invest in, having a budget that they stick to week on week, reliably, into months, into years. They don't buy dumb stuff usually. Most of them are very goal oriented. They will stick to their goals. Most don't actually have a crazy income. Most of them earn about, I think the book said about 150, which is like on the very, very high end. It's like very high, like 1% basically in America in the 80s and 90s, to 50k, I think, 50,000. And most are in like somewhere in the middle, like 85, 90. They have pretty good income, but they also don't spend most of it. It also talks about the two types of people: PAWs and UAWs. This is a bit of an abbreviation, but I'll go with PAW. Basically means a pro at acquiring wealth. UAW usually means under acquirer of wealth. This is not what the books really say. It's not the technical term, but I'm just going to go with that. I like it more than what the book recommended. It was too wordy. So the PAWs are people that we want to look up to. That doesn't mean they're millionaires. It could also mean that they're billionaires, or that they're, the town below millionaire. 100 grand debt, I don't know. But basically, they live below means, which means they're frugal. Whilst UAWs, the people we don't want to be, we want to be wealthy, rich, financially independent. They live above their means, which means they take out a lot of credit card debt to finance those means, take out a mortgage that they can't afford really, take out any other kind of loan so that they can keep spending today instead of the PAWs save for tomorrow. UAWs don't save at all, really. The PAWs, they save by buying used or new things at bargain prices, usually used. But UAWs usually buy new things at new prices, and they usually buy just more generally. Like, if a PAW were to buy a 8,000 pound watch, a UAW would get a 25,000 pound watch if they're the same income. That's how crazy it is. And that doesn't mean that the PAW is buying necessarily used in that case, but you get my point. PAWs usually spend about 2 times more on scheduling investments, planning investments, budgeting. UAWs spend a lot less than that, which is a very big shame, because that definitely stops them from getting further in life in terms of acquiring wealth. PAWs usually focus on saving, but UAWs usually focus on earning as much as possible. They have great offense, but shite defense, and PAWs have not that good offense in terms of earning money, but they have amazing defense in terms of keeping the money. If you can't keep the money, you will never be wealthy. That's just a fact of life. Doesn't matter how much money you earn, if you can't keep onto any of the money, you might as well be broke. You might as well have a minimum wage job. All that means is you have fancier cars, but you're still equally as close to retirement, which is nowhere near enough where you'd be happy. You'd be broke within like a year of retirement. PAWs, they don't really value status as much as UAWs. I think that's just got to do with what values you have in life. Like, if you value freedom, financial independence more, you will just generally skew to not buying high status objects, because you realize inherently how much they can shackle you into debt. But since UAWs don't even focus on that, they don't think ahead that far ahead anyway, they get shackled by status objects such as a nice car, a nice new car, premium sports vehicles, luxury watches, nice suits, amazing restaurants, none of them discounted, none of them at bargain price, mansions, oh my god, mansions. They don't realize but they're not rich. They're not rich, not really. They're not actually millionaires at that point, because they will never keep that million in their lifetime by spending that much. Until they won't realize that until they retire. So PAWs usually live middle class lives, because you don't really need big purchases and lots of status stuff to be happy in life. But UAWs usually live high class lives, where they show off their wealth. Oh, look how rich I am, how successful I am. That's what another problem is. They tie high status objects such as a mansion or a fancy expensive car as a form of success. Sure, it could be a form of success if you could afford it, but they can't afford it, usually not. PAWs usually retire in comfort, retire early. UAWs do not, and that's really the crux of the matter. There's also a bunch of other things, like UAWs worry more about money being passed down and money in general, having their income taxed as much. They worry about that more. Overall, I would recommend to get this book. It has a lot of things I didn't cover actually, like how you want your inheritance split, how you want to handle it so the siblings don't fight over each other and stuff. Why the rich don't stay rich over generations, and why spoiling kids with free money usually makes them less productive and earn less and be less likely to be millionaires and stuff. So, and POWs, they're less likely to be that. So, that's all I've got to say. Definitely check out the book, it's very good. I definitely didn't handle it much as I wanted to, like, I'm having a hard time speaking about this book for some reason. I did read it quite a bit, but I just can't remember all of it. It's too complex! Anyway, likes and subscribe if you enjoyed, and that's basically the end of the video. Peace.